It is 6.6, consideration of presentation to accept and file the 2025 roads project and the 2026 regional transportation plan / active transportation plan update. This is by Public Works. Glenn Mark is the director, and he'll be presenting this. It's Glenn March, like March or the month. Sorry about that.
It's my mom.
I don't know why I said Mark.
Is that, yeah. Ready? Okay. Good morning, Chair Crandall and members of the board. My name is Glenn March, the Public Works Director. I'm here to provide an update on the road work that we intend to do this year in the county. I'm not going to address bridge work or landslide work as part of this presentation because I think we want to focus on roads. Our road division, the Public Works Road Division, is going to do 37 miles of chip seal this year in Kelseyville and in Lower Lake. We are going to bring a construction contract to the board in the next, probably the next meeting on the 28th, to award the construction contract for the Cobb area pavement rehabilitation project. We're currently working on the Kelseyville sidewalk project in the environmental phase. It's already been designed, so once the environmental phase gets done and we secure the funding for construction, we'll advertise a project. And we're also doing the speed signs throughout the county. As far as the designs go, we are going to wrap up the design of the South Main Street project and Soda Bay Road project. We also are going to do the Nice Lucerne cutoff, the east portion, that has a very low PCI index. And I'm going to hire an engineer to conduct a study of our school areas and our business districts, just for the installation of additional signage or appropriate signage, as well as do pavement markings. And this will be our crews that will be doing that work. I did mention landslide repair projects. So I think we have about 5 landslide repair projects that we're going to begin design on. Someone expressed interest in Morgan Valley Road. Last week we had received our funding letter from Caltrans. So we'll be getting started on that project very soon. We probably have 20 bridge repair and replacement projects. And we do intend to begin the design of all the where we have Bailey bridges, the temporary bridges. We're going to begin the design of the replacements of those. We are also going to do pedestrian crossings at schools throughout the county, as well as Main Street in Lower Lake. So in the next few weeks, I'll be bringing a contract for grant writing and support services. So we're going to aggressively pursue grants for projects. We have some consultants very interested. So I'm looking forward to getting them on board. We applied for a $21 million grant for the South Main Street and Soda Bay Road widening. That was submitted in end of January. We intend to submit a CDBG grant application for the next road rehabilitation project. And I would like to get STIP funding for the Nice Lucerne cutoff pavement reconstruction. So I want to discuss the 2026 Regional Transportation Plan and Active Transportation Plan update. Oh, sorry. Okay. So the importance of these plans, these two plans along with our local road safety plan, is to identify projects that help us get grant funding. These plans identify the most important projects in the county. And because these are countywide plans, we cite these plans and the projects within the plan in all our grant applications. So in developing our list of plans, I believe these plans need to be updated thoroughly. First opportunity to identify future projects is our capital improvement plan. So we'll be presenting that later this year, early summer. And I have listed projects which the community and the board members have provided me input that they would like to see. And we will, as part of the CIP plan, I would appreciate your input about what your vision is for the county and roadway and bridge infrastructure projects. So the different type of projects, the plans are the regional transportation plan, which lists our major projects. I mentioned this is very important to obtaining grants. So listing projects in our capital improvement plan, we won't identify any priority, but as funding opportunities become available, we will identify projects that fall under that particular grant and apply for those grants. Projects that have been, So these are the projects that are currently listed on the 2022 Regional Transportation Plan. It's the South Main Street widening and bicycle lanes, the Soda Bay Road widening and bicycle lanes, pavement reconstruction and rehabilitation in general, and bridge replacement and repair in general. So what we want to do as part of our update is identify specific plans or specific projects because they carry more weight than general projects. So what projects I've identified so far is reconstruct our arterial and collector roads, as well as landslide repair projects. So we need to think about what other projects we need. So the 2022 Active Transportation Program projects, again, our South Main Street widening project and Soda Bay Road widening projects are listed there. We had the Middletown Multi-Use Path that we finished up. The Kelseyville Road Safe Routes to School pedestrian improvements. There's a Bridge Arbor North bikeway and the Rainbow Road Complete Streets improvements. So these are projects, we're out of order here. There's additional projects here that are listed from the 2022 Active Transportation Plan. And many of these are just simply pedestrian improvements. And those are sidewalk improvements, primarily, or trails. So my goal is to list more comprehensive projects, street improvements, safe routes to school projects, complete streets projects, and any other type of bikeways projects. So you can see I've listed some projects here, complete street projects, downtown Kelseyville, downtown Lower Lake, and safe routes to school projects. So here's some more. Lake Street pedestrian and bikeway improvements, Country Club Drive pedestrian bikeway improvements, Lakeshore Boulevard pedestrian bikeway improvements. So what other type of projects do you foresee or would like to see in the county? So these are not near-term projects, these are long-term projects that we can identify funding for in the future. So that concludes my presentation.
Supervisor Owen?
Do we talk about them now, or, I know I've met with you. Okay.
We'll talk about it when we present the CIP, and we'll also talk about it at a later date.
Okay, the only thing I see that's really critical will be the Morgan Valley slip.
So we received a funding letter from Caltrans where we have received funding for the Morgan Valley landslide repair project.
Okay, good.
We received that in the last week.
Okay, so when do we look at possibly getting started on that? I know the residents out there are really nervous.
Yeah. So we'll get started on design in the next month or so. And I'm uncertain how long the design will take right now.
And you have something that could go over it to Bridget if it fails before then, before you're able to be done?
I think we do.
Okay. Oh, we just don't want them stuck.
Right.
Thank you.
Supervisor Sabati? Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't see yours, sorry.
That's okay. This is exciting, and happy to hear we're going after so many grant opportunities and bringing on some contract support for that. It's been needed for a long time. Can you talk a little bit more about the studies around the schools and what your plan is for that? I know we have a new school in Kelseyville that wants some signage, and I know you have a plan for the whole county. So can you just talk a little bit more about that?
So around school areas, what I intend to do for this study is I am going to look at the speeds at schools. I am going to look at additional signage for school area signs as provided for in the manual uniform traffic control devices. And I'm going to look at pavement markings that can be added to make it safer. The study will also identify future improvements that can be incorporated as a safe routes to school projects. So you'll with schools, we are doing our pedestrian improvements at many of the schools in the county. So that's a project that is currently awaiting for additional funding. Originally, we proposed $250,000 for the improvements. We were able to get Caltrans to give us another $750,000 for those improvements. So that's my plan for school areas currently.
Okay, and then how are things going with PG&E and coordinating these road projects with the undergrounding work that they're doing?
So most of the PG&E undergrounding work is near completion. There'll be smaller projects. They plan on doing work on 175, but it's mostly overhead work that they're doing, strengthening their overhead lines.
So, sorry I haven't chatted with you about this lately, but what about the plans to do the undergrounding in Bottle Rock?
I'm not certain about that, but it's not a near-term project to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. All right, well, we'll talk more.
I have one more thing. There's some schools that I don't know if you're aware of them. They're private schools and I think daycares or preschools. They're on, I think it's at Washington Street in Middletown, across from the church. And it takes up a full block, and it's missing stop signs, and I believe Linda Darns has gotten in touch with you about that. So if the signage in those areas could be fixed, that would be amazing.
Just so you know, this has been a big issue in Middletown, and I've had staff look, and I've been told by the residents in Middletown that stop signs were removed at one time,
That's true.
and I have no records of where signs were originally located.
I think
They have
Linda
been-
has that. Linda Darns has that. I can have her get in touch with you.
She's provided me the information,
Okay.
but I have no record of that. So, I mean, from a county standpoint. So,
So what's the solution?
if we're going to, we need to have a traffic engineer review and provide stop sign warrant studies.
Okay, I think that she might even have that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know a former employee looked at some of those locations, but we don't have any finalized stamped documents.
Okay.
So,
Supervisors Tues?
And just as a potential suggestion for that, I know that Davy Bates and Associate, Dow and Associates, they do a lot of traffic studies for us, and maybe that's where some of those came in, because I know I was working on a stop sign as well and needed to go through the Dow and Associates for their studies so that we have liability taken care of before we install new signs, and I'm sure that's what you're looking for, is those types of reports. So maybe they were involved, maybe not, but if they were, that would save you a whole lot of time by being able to get those reports. So I'm hoping that this is the first of multiple conversations regarding roads. My one thing that I don't see is dollar signs. I know that we've been kind of saving up a little bit of money in order to spend it so that we can get a lot of projects done, but we also have this 10-year plan, which right now we're kind of identifying potentially 2 years worth of projects. Where are we in that 10-year plan? Are we revamping the 10-year plan? Because even our 10-year plan was unaffordable for the type of activities that needed to happen on our roads to really bring it up to a certain PCI amount. And so I'm kind of wanting to go back to that bigger picture of what is our incoming revenues from roads. Obviously, you're working on grants, which I greatly appreciate, in order to complement the dollar figure that we're already receiving from state and federal. Just to kind of map out, are we getting a whole lot done, and then we're going to see a huge off the cliff and not get a whole lot done because the amount of money we have currently is more than what we are receiving annually. And just to kind of get that bigger picture. So I'd love to see dollar signs of what is the anticipated amount, even though without an engineer's cost, it's probably going to be difficult to be exact, but just to get an idea of what we're looking at, how much money will be left over, what the following years might look like. And so I'm hoping that can be possible. It sounds like you're coming back to us, but I hope that we can get that level of detail to better strategize and understand what we're asking you, because I could tell you all kinds of roads that I think need help. But if I'm just throwing out ideas and not understanding what that means to the actual plan and to the dollars that we have, then I'm just not helping you, in my opinion. So just wanted to put that out there for when we get back to another item on roads, if we can get a little bit more of that specificity and review. Is the 10-year plan being altered entirely? Are we keeping it to a certain degree? And what's our hopes and anticipation?
so when I bring the contract amendment for the 2025 pavement rehabilitation project, I will give an update on the overall pavement rehabilitation program.
Perfect. And then one final comment, and I apologize to Chair Crandall. I know it's entirely in your district, but interconnects both of ours together.
Yeah, I was waiting to say it. Go ahead.
Then I will pass on that.
Go ahead, I have others, so just go.
Sulphur Bank Road, I know, is a unfortunate situation where we did resolve the one-lane area, but then some slip-outs occurred. I believe now there's one area. There was two at one point, but now there's one area that has slipped out. And I know that if there's a fire again, like the sulfur fire that we experienced in 2017, that is absolutely a escape route for certain people, depending on where the fire is, and a entry route for certain people, depending on where the fire is. And so having that interconnection between the Clear Lake Park area and the Clear Lake Oaks and Elam Tribe is an important thing for me.
Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Director March. There's a lot in here. I appreciate, all the thought and work that's going into looking at these things. I appreciate the arterial and collector streets. I mean, those are important to keep in good shape, because if we let them get bad, then it costs a lot more money than it would to maintain them. I appreciate the hard work to try to bring in more money for grants and funding, particularly the South Main and Soda Bay Road. Those are very important projects. So I'm hoping that we're successful there and they can be priorities. I know that they're on the radar. I wanted to mention it because we got a public comment about Elk Mountain Road going up out of Upper Lake into Lake Pillsbury. We got a public comment today for this meeting about it being in the county road section being in bad shape right now. So I don't know what is or isn't going on up there, but I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that because that comes up as a concern in the public from time to time, being really the main, from our county, the main route up to the Lake Pillsbury community. But thank you for all the information.
Yeah, just to, we have, we have 2 landslide repair projects on Elk Mountain Road that we have recently gotten funding for, so we'll begin those soon. We also have been working with the National Forest Service, or is that right? On a plan to address some of those roads and work together with them to address roads in their area at the same time we address the county roads.
Okay, thank
So,
Thank you for answering that. I was going to mention that too. Wanted to make sure that it was said here. I have 3 town halls. I know you attended one in discussing the. I don't know what happened. Oh, there we go. Sorry. So as I was saying, a couple of the things I was going to bring up have been brought up, especially with the Elk Mountain. I knew that that was going to be applied for some funding before, and I think it's looking like it's coming to closer to being done. I know that I was talking about the town halls. I know you've come to a couple of them. Initially, a couple of years back, or a year and a half back, there was a 5-year plan that turned into a 10-year plan, and the priority or the way that it was going to be done had changed tremendously. However, I know that when working with the capital improvement plan, I know you have mentioned some of the projects, and I've given you the actual most dire, I think, in the district, and I know they revolve around bridges as well. I know that with Spring Valley, they need an alternate route, and I know you had helped me identify that, so I was able to tell the CSA that that is on the capital improvement plan, which we'll be looking at in June. Same with the Lucerne Bridge, as that is a very big issue because of the danger and the need for another route when it comes to the folks in the, with the fire department when they have to go and help with that. So the schools, I know you mentioned the school studies and whatnot. I know in Upper Lake they had been basically talking about this for quite some time already as it is. And previously they had talked about speed bumps and different measures when it comes to signage and things like that. And so they being the town hall has been monitoring a lot of this, so like they understand and know already that there is speed issues. And so when they were told before, prior to your service, of course, that there would be studies, and then now there's going to be other studies, it gets real frustrating for these areas. And there's, Upper Lake, Lucerne, and Clear Lake Oaks has issues with that same thing on Country Club. So it's good to see that. A timeline, do you think that's going to be something we talk about in capital improvement, or is that just something when it comes to the schools, the safe schools?
So that'll be part of the CIP discussion.
Okay.
But I may get started on it earlier.
Okay.
We're going to use local funds to fund that project. So
Yes, and I appreciate also, we've been discussing some of the roads and whatnot here and there, and I think that just looking at some of the areas in District 3 as the CIP, that's what we have to go by, right? And so I understand too that when it comes to CIP, low CIP, and talking with you and then also Director DeLeon, previous Director DeLeon, at times it comes into which roads are traveled most, and with CIP, with regard to CIP. I know at times there's constituents that are frustrated with their roads per se, but then at times, if it's not something that's highly traveled when it comes to this situation, the CIP and the most traveled take some sort of priority. I didn't know if that's still accurate or if that's how that works.
So our road crews concentrate on our more heavily trafficked, more heavily used roads. And they do a once a year plan, and they circle the lake in 5 years. So once every 5 years, there should be a chip seal program within each specific area. And those take care of the busiest roads. And then I identified our arterial roads and collector roads. And they're published on Caltrans functional use website. And everybody can see them there. And just to talk about the rehabilitation plan for 1 second, the plan that discussed addressing roads in a counterclockwise fashion, that was one scenario of 3 scenarios provided. And I think that was a scenario that required additional $12.5 million per year. So scenario 1, where we have no additional funding, and scenario 3, which had additional funding, did not take into account that counterclockwise plan to address it. So anyways, I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and I think too, when going over one of the first plans, I know that they had a consultant conduct the work on the different plans previously, and some of the roads, I know at different entities, we would discuss how some of those weren't even really traveled or anything, and so when they did the secondary study, it somewhat had the same. So I'm glad to see that, like, you all are working on the more with a more local mindset, if you will, because I know before they were using some roads that were way out of the area I don't even think anyone used, So it's just because that consultant didn't have any knowledge of how the local roads really worked. So just wanted to give you that insight as well. But again, like you and I have been talking about some specific things as well. So
scenario 1, which had no additional funding other than our SB1 funds, was not organized in a cost-effective way. So for each year, it may have a road and multiple roads in different areas of the county where it's more cost-effective to work in one particular area. So you don't have to remobilize equipment all over the county. So.
I've seen Supervisor Sabatier and Supervisor Owen.
And I'll agree with you that being able to make an impact in one area, even people who don't live in that area will recognize that work is getting done. If we do one road everywhere, most people won't see that. So having a large project in one focused area has I think has proven to work in other areas. I just want to make a statement. I'm not going to ask for necessarily further discussion, but maybe it's something you might be interested in bringing back. The money we receive for roads is just not enough. Mm-hmm. And I think that people have expectations that I'm paying gas tax, which, yes, if you're driving and you're pumping gas, you are paying gas taxes, but it is not nearly enough to handle the roads that we have. And it's not Lake County, it's everywhere. At one point in time, if we really want to change the PCI from the direction it's been going or where it's at to where it should be, we have to have a conversation about a road tax. Mm-hmm. It benefits the economy by having better roads where people are not having to spend their money to repair their cars, but going to our restaurants, going to our retailers. It makes it so that businesses also don't lose money as much and have to increase their prices because they're not having to fix their stuff. Our transit benefits, our sheriff benefits. We have to figure out how to get better roads. And at one point, we have to bring that conversation to the Board of Supervisors to figure out how to make that happen.
Supervisor Owen?
Okay. Just to bring it out publicly, I have been pestering Mr. March for a while, and have actually back during my campaigning days. And at that time, I believed the most important issue in our district was, in District 1, was the Lower Lake School It's a safety issue. It's the largest school in the county, and it's actually dangerous, that Lake Street area. And so thank you for working on that. I know we have something on the agenda right now that we're going to be looking at some fixes on that. After going out to Morgan Valley last week, I think it was, there's a huge slide that is getting to the point that the people are worried about getting in and out, period, and that's their only way in and out. So I'm glad to hear that that's on the agenda. I also had spoke, and I was really happy that Mr. Sabatier had brought that up about having some kind of target financially. And I had spoke to you about that. We actually went on a tour of South, kind of the Middletown area. I was starting from the Napa County line and kind of working, but I didn't get him for a very long time. But when we did looked at a few projects on some of the roads that really need to be done, where culverts are literally rotted out and the roads are falling. So I was able to take Mr. March around for that. But I had also mentioned to you, and Mr. Sabatier had mentioned it now, about getting an idea of what it would cost, what kind of money we do need to bring forward to be able to take care of that price tag. And I know that's a big ask, but I just want to do it officially and ask what we'd need to raise. I had spoke with Miss Susan yesterday about looking at, because I don't believe in, of course, raising taxes, but to put something on the ballot for 2026 for a road tax is something I would like to see come forward and let the people decide. But we need to know what we need to do financially to make this happen and make it a reality to fix our roads, because our roads are atrocious. Thank you. And thank you for your work.
One last thing, I know that with some permits, especially with regard to Lucerne, I know there's a couple of either, I know like the senior center and then a couple of other projects that were taking place. One of the comments that was shared with me was that when they were conducting the permit, there was a check mark or a area for the permit fees to have some sort of regard to roads, and they're like, why are we having to clear that? They don't even fix them. So I don't know if there's a correlation there, wherever the case may be. I don't know if the fees are included. I'm bringing that up because that was something that was relayed to me, that some of the fees associated or some of the check marks off had to have some sort of regard to that. So, just giving you that insight.
So there are two road-specific fees. Our refuse haulers who take our franchise refuse haulers pays a fee, as well as if you pull a building permit and the cost of your construction value is over $10,000, there's a fee as well. So those are our two fee sources. We are going to conduct another study to recalculate those fees. The last fee study was done in 2014. Typically, they're done every 5 years. So we're going to be looking at that. We talked to a consultant, and that's about a $30,000 study. So,
thank you for that. If there's no other comments from the board, we'll open it up to the public. If there's anyone from the public that'd like to come up, please.
I had one comment on what he just said. Is that okay? Or you want
Yes,
to
go ahead.
Okay. Personally, as if you know me, I'm not for adding any more fees or taxes to the people. Our building is down. We need to make it easier for people to build here, rather than costing them more to be able to build. And to put out $30,000 for a study, I would rather see if we can pass a tax, sales tax, to be able to take care of those needs if possible. I don't want to hit the builders or anybody with more fees.
All right, sir.
Good morning, Tom Lasik. You asked about any other road suggestions, so I'm going to put in my plug for my favorite road, which is Highland Springs Road. It is, I think it transitions between District 4 and District 5. It's on the Kelseyville area draft plan for a scenic drive, and it's also on the draft plan for road repairs. I'm not sure if it's considered an arterial road or a connector road. The first four miles before the park, there are no speed limit signs. The next 2 miles inside the park, which are paved, also no speed limit signs. And the next 4.5 miles, which is unpaved, no speed limit signs. Maybe 5 years ago, that was not so much of an issue, but now we have quite a bit of commercial traffic going through the park. And it's quite beautiful, but it's also quite dangerous. I don't know what signage costs, but speed limit signs would be very important. Signs letting drivers know they're actually in the park on Highland Springs Road would be helpful. They do exist on East Highland Springs Road, but on Highland Springs Road, it doesn't have anything that says welcome to the park. When I talk to drivers, they don't even realize they're in the park. They're just rushing to and from their deliveries. And we have equestrians and hikers and bikers and dog walkers that walk on the road. And we have caution signs on the other side of the park to let drivers know that, but there's nothing of the sort on Highland Springs Road. So I don't know how much signage costs, but I would imagine it's a whole lot cheaper than chip seal. And also the paved portion of Highland Springs Road as it goes to the park is not lined. There's no double yellow. It would be, even though it's not legally wide enough for a 2-lane road, if there was a double yellow, it would change behavior. I've currently pulled out 14 people now who've been run off the road or slid off the road, and that's just me. I go through that road every day. At the intersection of East Highland Springs Road and Highland Springs Road, that's quite a dangerous intersection. I think it could be redesigned just through signage and painting to make it more safe. So anyways, it is on the Kelseyville area plan draft to make it safer. I don't know what that fits into your cycle of road repair, but that's my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Yes.
Good morning, Chair Crandall, Vice Chair Rasmussen, and Supervisors, Margot Kambara. Since Director March has invited comment on road priorities, I share the following. I suggest that we raise safety as one of our primary concerns when we prioritize road improvements, specifically that those where safety issues affect life and death. So I bring to your attention High Valley Road. And there have been several discretionary use permits that have been approved for projects that use that road. And residents have raised concerns about safety, primarily when it comes to evacuation for wildfire, and also emergency response. Residents have pointed out to a history of accidents on that road and also near misses. And those involve large delivery trucks that have commercial business in that area. At one Planning Commission hearing for a discretionary use permit, the planning commissioners were told that the road department had plans to address the road safety concerns, but no timeline was given. The concern is that until those safety issues are addressed for the road, those residents are at risk. And this could be a liability issue, exposing residents to unmitigated risk for a discretionary use permit. And this could also pose a CEQA violation of cumulative traffic impacts that are not addressed. So I bring this to your attention, especially for those residents who have only one way in and one way out to their homes. Thank you.
I don't know, Glenn, I had sent you that information from the last town hall, and you mentioned that you're working with a consultant or something like that for that area, or an engineer or something of the like.
So I have my our county surveyor, going to survey the area where that hairpin turn is. And then we're going to have an engineer look at the truck moving templates, place them on the road to see if the road is properly designed for the trucks we allow based on the signage. And then we'll figure out next steps.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, Chair, Vice Chair, Supervisor, Staff, Julia Carrera, Upper Lake. Thank you for your presentation. Again, thank you for the offer of what we think we need to do. Main Street of Upper Lake, there's a section that is north that wasn't part of the redevelopment agency development when we used to have that agency. Just this last storm, there was 3 feet of water flooding homes on Main Street. I have spent for the last 2 years pumping 24 hours to try to get the water to go the right direction instead of flooding our homes on Main Street, because a resident that lives on Clover Creek graded without a permit over 2 acres and changed all of the drainage that used to go into Clover Creek that now comes onto Main Street. We also have a similar condition in that particular location that Supervisor Owens spoke about. We have collapsing culverts and sinking street. This is Main Street. We have huge semis going over this area. 2 cars have spun out, one falling into a ditch and smashing the culvert that's supposed to take the water away. Because of all the water that's coming that used to go into the creek, it filled up one of the 2 culverts that are county-owned. Fortunately, there was enough attention on it that your crew came out and cleaned it out. Thank you very much. And also became aware of the situation, was very concerned about the collapsing culverts and the sinkholes. So I urge you to include Main Street on Upper Lake, North End, storm drain system, as well as the pavement itself and the sinkholes that are increasing every year. It's a scary situation, and the 3 feet of water going into people's homes was really kind of the last straw for us on that end of Main Street. So anything you can do to help, including grants, is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else in the chambers? Zoom? I'll close public input and bring, oh, okay, 1 second. Did you want to comment while she's getting them?
Thank you. I just want to quickly comment that shortly before the presentation, we did get a public comment about High Valley Road as well, that
Right.
somebody cited there had been 3 accidents of semi-trucks in the last 7 months. Thank you.
Donna?
Donna Makowitz in Clear Lake Oaks. Again, High Valley Road is very dangerous. It needs attention, especially at East Lake School. I tried to cross the road on Highway 20, I know, which is the highway, but having even a crossing guard and a Caltrans crossing guard, the cars did not stop and it wove in between the 3 of us. So that's an area of concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Betsy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Betsy Kahn, Upper Lake. Aligned with the idea of including areas of need, even though the County Department of Public Works is not directly responsible for this. The Watershed Protection District is responsible for ensuring that all shoreline drainage areas contributing to the degradation of water quality in Clear Lake are in compliance with the state water quality orders. And the city of Clear Lake has 49 miles of unpaved, heavily traveled roads that drain directly into the lake. They have a 1998 pavement management plan or drainage management plan that we have heard many times is being updated, but it would be really helpful if our Department of Public Works and the Watershed Protection District folks would work together with the permittees for our water quality order in the city of Clear Lake. That's a long-standing detriment to the whole lower arm of the lake. Thank you very much.
Any others? All right, I'll close public input. And lastly, I just wanted to ask one more question I didn't get to earlier. With the Rodman Slough, that work, what kind of work is it going to be? Because I know before it was like some different patchwork, if you will. And so I know that the concern, as this was posted last week, when some folks looked at the presentation, they wanted to know what type of work would be done on that Rodman Slough area.
We're going to reconstruct the road.
Okay, yeah,
It will be a brand new road
okay. Thank you.
with a 20-year lifespan.
All right,
So,
thank you very much. Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I just have another quick question. Sometimes I feel that we work too hard to try and solve the problems when there needs to be better participation from the community. At what point is a resident supposed to take care of the frontage of their house? So for example, when I used to live in an area where I had sidewalks, if I had weeds growing out of the culvert, I would get a letter saying you need to knock down the weeds. Why? Because eventually it rips up the asphalt, rips up the concrete, then water can seep in, then it starts damaging. I see all jurisdictions here behaving like they need to take care of the entirety of it when some of that is helping to create a nice frontage for specific properties. At what point do we hold accountable homeowners to take care of the frontage of their home to help us out in dealing with roads rather than allowing it to deteriorate and then making your job that much more difficult and making us having to spend more money? Is that something that we can look at to try and expand on?
so I hope to update our website to provide information about what streets where the residents are required to maintain up to the edge of pavement, because we do not have a right-of-way there. The owners are responsible for maintaining it up to the edge of the road. And then we may address some things by ordinance.
And then, final thing.
go
Are you planning to bring back Dig Once? I think we talked about it not too long ago, but a Dig Once policy to, again, maintain these roads once they have been rehabilitated?
Yes. So just so you know, I have a extra help employee coming on board this Thursday. She was a department head here at the county, and I'm very excited. And she's going to be focusing on RFPs, RFQs, as well as updating policies and ordinances.
Thank you very much.
All right. With that, I think we do need action to accept this, and so.
Mr. Chair, if there's nothing further, I'll make a motion to accept and file the 2025 roads projects and the 2026 Regional Transportation Plan / Active Transportation Plan update.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 500. Thank you, Director March, very much.